always used to people speaking back, but this is the Veteran Affairs organization that I have the opportunity to represent today. And I'm always thrilled to be back here at Stanford. I was the chair of the Board of Trustees for the March of Dimes, and so the Stanford Prematurity Institute for Prematurity was one of our first kickoffs as chair. And so I'll say hello to my friends, Dr. Harvey Cohen and Dr. David Stevenson, as I only have great remembrances of my time here. But today I'm going to talk to you about data Libre. And what do I mean by data Libre? I was so happy to follow the last speaker because at the end of the day, I'm talking about freeing data. I believe that we have imprisoned our data. How shameful of us to imprison our data. Yes, the chuckle is right. I don't take myself too seriously. I think that is a part of who we are, and I take great pride in being a lot of different things, not a monolith. But yet, we treat our data like it's a monolith, like it's one thing, and it's many things. We are all parts of a many. Each part of us, each individual part of us, from everything that I am, from being a mom, to a nerd, to really cool, to really being a great cook, to just being a cool, all-around good person to hang out with, to being an exceptionally great wife, and to being everybody's best friend that I like. And at the end of the day, not like an opinion. All those things make up who I am. And all those things tell you something, though, about who I am. And so one of the things that has to occur when we think about data is thinking about it in a way that frees it. I believe in healthcare, this is our biggest hindrance. It is the thing that is keeping us from innovating on behalf of all those we serve. I'm a presidential appointment. I am a confirmed appointee to this role, and my role is to change veteran affairs to support the veterans through better technology. I was proud to take up this mantle. It is a very difficult one because the VA runs the largest integrated health organization in the world, not just in the United States. And it's run on an open platform called Vista. Many of you may know Vista. Years ago, there was a great book written called The Best System No One Ever Knew. You might remember that book. And yet, we run it with 250 different instances. We have over 8,000 different systems. How goofy is that? The fact is, we have hindered our data. We have created a situation where the data on behalf of our veterans does not do what it needs to do. My job is to get it there. So I want to share with you a story. I went with my family, my husband and son, and we decided to go to a National Aquarium, and there they have a jellyfish exhibit. And I found myself just staring at the jellyfish, and he thought something had happened to me, maybe he could collect life insurance early or something, because I wasn't listening to him. And what had happened was I was just really mesmerized by something that I had learned many years ago but had forgotten. I had forgotten how jellyfish work, and that they were nothing that became something. And they became something by moving through the water and taking oxygen and getting what it needed to create its nutrients. And as they had all these different jellyfish, some of them with eyes, some without, some that were really beautiful purple and pink, and some that were translucent, I remembered that from nothing created something that was able to be with the blue whale, to move seamlessly through without being eaten, and yet survive. And so those little pieces that gave it fact, gave it life. And even though we didn't see it, we see it. And that occurred to me. I thought about that in terms of how we use and what data is in healthcare in particular. And we have created, with our health systems, monoliths of data. Data we call EHRs, and it must stay together, and HIPAA says we have to move it as a pack. Data we call the prescription. Data we call the diagnosis. We package people's diagnosis with their prescription. We keep it all together because to take it apart, we would lose it. To take it apart, we think we can't protect it. I have come up with a term called hackery. It is what hackers do, so I call it hackery or debauchery. I'm trying to come up with a really cool word, but right now it's hackery. And so if you want to write that down, #hackery, you can do that, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I've been pushing from a cyber perspective point of view is, how do you make what they take nothing without the one something they need? We think about it differently in my mind. And there is a we up here. Remember I said it was multiple things going on? No, I'm not schizophrenic for the psychiatrist in the room. I'm just a thinker, and I'm a thinker who knows this can be done. I know there is opportunity to take this monolith and create something great for this person right here who I've decided to serve. Who I wanted to be able to get their information seamlessly when they move from being an active participant in our military to being what we call a veteran. There is a life choice there. And for the VA, we actually have something that few people have. We have a life cycle incredibly long for the people we serve. From the time they leave active duty until the time they leave us. See, the VA is made up of the healthcare organization, the benefits organization, which is about the size of a medium-sized to large insurance company, and then the largest network of cemeteries in the world. So we have a life cycle of time with a group of people that very few health providers ever have. And in that comes a great deal of opportunity to not only change the decisions and how we use their data, but to change it for how we do it in public health. The amount of data we have at VHA, our health organization, no one has in a living, clinical, capable EHR. The research that's been done, no one's done. The question is, have we harnessed it? Have we leveraged it? And have we made it better for the veteran in its existence? I would say the opportunity is taking the set off and thinking about it differently. So let's think about it differently. I always like to think in terms of real people. And the real person I'm going to talk about is a veteran. And that veteran is a guy named Byron. Now, Byron has a daughter. He's taking care of the daughter. He's left active duty. He is now teaching at a community college. He is starting his new life. See, what happens to most vets, they come out from one life, and now they enter another. It's not always easy, that transition. And in our history, we have not made it easy for them to even grasp what's next for them. My objective is to grasp what's next and to talk to them before they have to talk to us. I would like to have the information that's coming on them real time while they're still in active duty. And I'd like to take that information, break it apart, see what makes sense, put it back together and talk to them about what options they may have, what benefits they actually have, what's real for them and for their family. What have they earned in their service to us as Americans? I think it's critical. So let's take Byron. He's now teaching. And in the process of teaching in his classroom, something happens. Byron has a seizure. He has a seizure, he's rushed to a hospital, and he's diagnosed with epilepsy. He didn't know he was epileptic. He didn't know he had a traumatic brain injury while in active duty, but he didn't think he had any residual issues with it until now. So then he comes to the VA. In the process, we change. With our new digital health platform, we look at it differently. We say, if that's his diagnosis, let's see what's out there in the API world that we can bring in using FHIR. Many of you probably have heard of FHIR, right? Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources. Some people have SMART on FHIR, some people have HEY on FHIR. I just on FHIR, right? And what we do, we go and we find an API that will work and come into his EHR, his record, and help us do something right for Byron. And this is what it does. It comes in, we pull it, it looks at his diagnoses, it goes back out, it pulls the API that has a great understanding of the different, down to the molecular level of medicines that will work in controlling seizures. Now, why is that important? Medicines that will work. And why look at all of them? Well, this is what I know. This particular person, he needs to drive to work. You can't drive if you have uncontrollable seizures. He needs to maintain a job. He has a family to take care of. If you talk about homeless veterans, this is usually the case. If you can't hold a job, you can't take care of your family, which means you can't have a home. So he has to be able to take care of himself. Part of who he is and part of what makes him whole is his ability to do that. So when you have epilepsy, it changes your life. How do we keep him with his life? So we go and we pull an API. This particular API, which actually exists today, will look at every molecule that currently has been developed to support control seizures. We go against Byron's EHR. It comes back and it tells us exactly down to the percentage, based on all of who he is, all the various parts of who he is, what will work best for him, with a tolerance level plus or minus 2. In addition, it allows us to see if he has a problem with opiates, to remove those that might cause an addiction. If this happens to be a female veteran, and they say, I plan to have a child, it will take away those that might cause any kinds of side effects in birth. And then based on that, we now see what our options are versus what the doctor only knows. For him, this is the difference between continuing to have a job, continuing to take care of his family, continuing to have a vibrant life, and being able to live without side effect. For any of you who have ever had to have a family member with this particular diagnosis, you know how difficult it can be sometimes to find the right cocktail. And in that process of trying to find the right opportunity, you have to wean yourself off one to wean yourself up on another. It is not an immediate change. Think about the time. Think about, I can't drive while I go to this. I might not be able to teach because I might hurt myself. Other people are freaked out if they witness it. Maybe they won't even hire me. So time and going through that and trading it out and talking to the doctor about who he really is matters. All he is matters. That information about his need to drive actually matters, because it says we need to find the best solution for him, the most efficient, in the fastest way possible, with the highest acuity and efficacy we can find now. He needs us. He's reliant on us to do that. And through FHIR, we can do that. We can do that. That particular module actually works in like 4 seconds. Will tell us what we need to know for him and have us have a better probability of getting him on the right chemical that will support him. But I even want to go one step further. I want to say, what if What if we didn't just look at the right chemical, but we looked at everything around him? We looked at where he goes on vacation. We think about the things that he likes to eat. We understand what his family needs, how he exercises, who he interfaces with, what he has interest in. You might say, why does all that matter? Because we know that there are other ways even to deal with that diagnosis. We know that a ketogenic diet works for some people in that diagnosis. Will it work for him? Maybe, if we looked at it. We also know there's other opportunities that we can leverage, but without being able to release that data, think about it differently, bring it back together in many different ways, can we only create the best solution for him. And it is about him, and it's about you, and it's about me. As we think about the last speaker, one of the things he says, we're dying earlier. We're not living as healthy. We're not living as long as we should. My whole proposition is I just want to live as well as I should. Longevity, depends on how I look. Quality is everything. That's what I want. I want that quality. And I want to make sure that when I'm making decisions and when I'm ingesting something, it's the right thing for me. Someone like me, someone with my lifestyle goals, somebody with my needs. See, for me, I need to live a long time. Why? Because I'm a caregiver. I have a son that needs me. He has multiple disabilities. He needs me. He looks forward to seeing me. I love that. And he needs me. So I want to do whatever I have to do to be here for him for as long as I can. That means no more bungee jumping or jumping out of planes. But that's okay. I'm willing to sacrifice little things. But I also have to sacrifice ice cream and all the goodies that I like because type 2 diabetes runs in my family. So what do I do? What do I do? When you exercise and you do everything, data will tell me using APIs about people like me. Not that look like me, but people who have the DNA that I have. People that live the lifestyle that I have. People that titrate caffeine as fast as I do. People that like to get up in the morning and go to bed at a reasonable hour, regardless of what their husband's doing. Those people, that data, it's real. It matters. These are all the things that create. We are spinning up information every minute. As you sit here, you're sharing information. It is now a catalyst of you. I now know something about you just by what you're sending right now, either in Twitter, in email. In fact, I might even be reading your minds, but you don't need to know that. What you do need to know is that every minute of every day, you're creating something new that is you. And that information matters enough that we need to break the monolith of healthcare and change how we think about data. And stop the insanity of it only can move this way. That the HIE will tell us the right way to get it to you. That if you have your record, you might choose who gives you health care. That if you Google the right thing, you might come up with the right decision for yourself. Please stop that, by the way. The fact is, you need to bring it all together, and it needs to be about you, and it needs to be brought together in a way that changes lives. When I accepted this role, I did it on the behalf of the 60% of the men in my family who have been veterans, enlisted men fighting all the way from World War I till now. My great-nephew just finished boot camp for the Navy. My husband never served. I never served, but his dad was in the Air Force. My dad was in the Navy. My stepdad was 20 years in the Army. And this I know. In this country with a volunteer military, in a world where we can be free to say whatever we want in this country, and I can stand up here and have an opinion, not only opinion, but opinion based in fact. And I can say to you that we can change healthcare, and we can change the health decisions, and we can change our diagnoses beyond the human brain by leveraging technology in a much different way. Not being afraid of it, but accepting it. See, I had docs tell me that it was awful for me to think that technology, learning agents, and using graphing capability, and really thinking on the edge of breaking this information through to make it relational enough that they could have the information at their fingertips, that I was trying to usurp them going to medical school and all the time and education that they had spent by thinking that the computer was smarter. And I said, I don't think the computer is smarter. Come on. It's faster. It doesn't forget. It can retrieve. It can make sense of something. It can look at the latest. It can bring it to your fingertips. And then what it can do is take what makes you human. Because you're looking in somebody's eyes and you're looking at a decision support system that's real. And now you're making real decisions, because that's what you went to school for in the first place, to make real decisions to change lives, not be expected to recall every decision. That's what tech can do for you. And so if we liberate our data, I can support these folks. These are real vets. These are people that need to know that we can make good decisions. These people in our Million Veteran Program, which we now have the DNA of over 500,000 veterans, coupled with the information in the EHR, coupled with where they live and what they do, coupled with those that never have to use our health capability. That tells us a lot about them as well. This is our opportunity. In health IT, it's always been frustrating to me that we hide behind a regulatory body as to what we can do with data. That the concept, you just can't de-identify. You know, we have to have IC10 and IC11, and we got to map to that. And then we map to that, we can talk to you. I don't agree. I think if we liberate the data, it will liberate us to really be the scientists, the thought leaders, the people that make real lives matter. So it's been nothing but a pleasure. I hope that you look for our digital health platform. Our proof of concept is going incredibly well. We're changing minds, but most importantly, we're changing lives. On behalf of the veterans and the VA, I thank you for your time, this invite. For those that are working in the Prematurity Institute, thanks for what you're doing for the smallest of us, because that's what matters to the rest of us. So again, have a great MedX, and this has been fun. Liberate the data. It'll help us. Thank you.